Hello, this is Deborah Anderson, the BlkWmnAnimator, coming back to you with another video. And in this video, I have Lawrence Raw Dog Hubbard. So Lawrence, I am glad to have you here. I found you. You said the founder or owner of Titmouse was interviewing you. I saw that video and I was like, oh man.
Yeah, Chris, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm really an advocate for, not only, animation, but just showing artists, particularly artists that create content for adults, because people think that animation is for kids, but in Europe, a lot of the animation is targeted towards adults. So that's kind of only a mindset in America.
Yeah, that's true.
So
that over
yeah,
in Asia too, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, let's get started. So what parts of your childhood and personality inspire your style and the subjects in your comics?
Basically it's like rage, just a lot of rage and anger. Like I said, I had a rough childhood. We didn't have much money. My father ran out on us. I had a violently disturbed sister, just welfare, food stamps, and I had it pretty rough. And then the time most people go into college, I started working right away. And so I started drawing when I was 3. Literally, I started drawing on like scrap paper and stuff when I was 3. And always just struggling. And I remember I would my uncle, he worked in computers and stuff at the time, and he had the big green bar paper and stuff, and he would give it to me and I would draw on it. And just always drawing and doing my thing, and always wanted to go to art school, animation school, all that. But instead, by the time I was grown, I had to work, or else there's no money.
Right.
But I always kept drawing. And I used to draw. I remember when the Black Panther Party was around, my father would get one of the newspapers every now and then, and they had like all the police were drawn as pigs. And I love the cartoons because it was just real crazy. Where we're fighting the pigs and the pigs are shooting at you and brutalizing you. And I used to draw like car crashes, bus crashes, and crazy stuff. And that's what I always liked. And then at the time, on the Wonderful World of Color, that was the Disney show on 4 o'clock on Sunday night. And I remember one time they had on there, they showed how animation was done, all the old timers, and they were showing it. When I was real little, I believe the cartoon I thought they were real, like they were real people and stuff, just in a cartoon world. And then I saw the guys work, and I said, "Wow, I'd love to do, doing the flip, flipping the pages and stuff, and showing the whole process." And I was just amazed by it. And I said, "That's what I want to do." So I always been drawing, but we came up with Real Deal. It's funny saying, while I was working at California Federal. I started off there, I was in the stock room unloading trucks and stocking shelves, delivering office supplies. And then my boy Harold H.P. McElway, he was working. He was in office. He started doing that, and then he was out handling invoices at the desk. And we just clicked with each other. We'd be talking to each other and stuff. And even though he was 7 years older than me, but we just like clicked like brothers and stuff. And then one time I was sitting down in the office, the record storage department. I was on B2. We used to go down there and drink and stuff. The guys down there keep a bottle down there and be drinking. And so one time I went down there and I saw Harold. He was drawing these crazy looking characters, in his style, like almost like a stick figure. It was a crude style, but he got the point across. And so it was so funny. So I saw him drawing and I said, "What the hell is that?" And he said, "Oh, that's GC." And I said, "What the hell is GC?" And he said, "Oh, it stands for Gangster Cool." And I was looking, I said, it was really funny. Like I said, he's just drawing this crazy stuff, like, guys selling oranges on the corner. And GC runs over the guy with his Cadillac, and then the import bus with him. And she said, "Wow, baby, you really fucked him up." And he says, "That'll be you, bitch, if you fuck up." Like that. And I was looking at, what the hell is this? He said, "Oh, this is GC." And I say, "Hey, man, I draw too." He said, "You did?" He didn't know I drew. And he saw me unloading trucks and stuff. And I said, "Yeah." And then we started kicking it and throwing ideas back and forth. And then I started drawing his stuff. And it was just hilarious because at the time, I was so busy working, like I didn't get a chance to draw that much. Or then I really, I would just draw regular stuff like car crashes or simple things. But I didn't have any storylines or anything. And I hadn't thought in it. Like I said, I was just busy all the time. I didn't have a chance to think about it. So this gave me something to draw. So then we're kicking it, and I draw it, and it looked like he would enjoy what I drew so much. Like he bust out laughing and everything, and we're drawing all these things, working on different stories. He come over to my house and be drinking, and he'd look at what I drew, and he'd laugh. I go over to his place. So finally, we had so many pages. We're like, man, fuck it. We need to make this into a comic book.
Right.
And so, because then everybody, people at his job, we made copies of it and stuff, and people at his job liked it. My job, just busting up laughing, like, what the hell is this? It's like, I've never seen anything like this. So at first we were trying to, get somebody else to publish, because neither of us had done any kind of publishing, weren't in the business and stuff. So, we were sending out, he was the one, he always sent out all the submissions and stuff. And back then, you didn't have all this internet stuff, and everything was by mail, or, you'd have to meet somebody or whatever. You had to do everything the hard way. So he was sending it out, and there's some places would clown us, saying, no, thanks, we don't want it. A lot of people wouldn't even respond. And then one time he sent it out. Now, he was a writer. He loved Star Trek. He could come up with his own universe and stuff, all the vehicles, spaceships and stuff. And he sent numerous submissions to Marvel. So anyway, he sent the Real Deal submission. And then one day I get an envelope, falls through the mail, and it's got, Spider-Man on the label and stuff. I'm like, holy shit, fucking Marvel wants to do Real Deal. And so I tore the thing open, and it was funny. The guy said, hey, we get thousands of submissions here. He said, usually, we don't even answer them or, anything like that. But he said, in your case, he said, we had to take our feet down off the table and give a response. And he said, basically, this shit is crazy. It's hilarious. And he said, this is insane. And he said, but sorry, we can't use it, but, see you down the road. Like that. And it was funny, but I lost, it was so many years ago, I lost, for moving and all this shit, I lost it. But it was so funny because in Herald, he had the, like they had a basic form they'd send you if you send them a submission. Sorry, we can't use it. Thing. And he said, no, this is this is genuine here. They actually wrote this. And so they saw what it was, and they just, obviously, it didn't fit a lot with the superheroes and stuff. But, for the fact that they gave us a response, that really kept us going and stuff. So anyway, at the time I was making real good money. I was working at this data center. I was production control analyst, and just funny. Like I started out, unloading trucks and stuff, and then when I was at CalFed, I saw the people working in the called MIS, Management Information Systems. Yeah, and it looked like I didn't know what the fuck they were doing, but it just looked nice. Like people drinking coffee, sitting around talking, doing some shit on it, keep typing shit in. And I said, shit, this is fit for me, because I busting my ass unloading trucks, stacking pallets, all this stuff. So I went up to the guy and I said, hey, I can get up in here, any kind of entry-level job. And the guy said, we got a data control specialist job. What the hell is that? He says, back then you used to print a lot of reports, print reports, breaking them down and all that kind of stuff. So I said, well, yeah, I'd like that. So then, I went back and forth talking to the guy, and then I got the transfer up in there. So then, I was there. Then I moved to another company, and I was a tape librarian. And then the guy said, hey, I want you in production control. Like, what the hell is that? And that's handling like job flow, fixing ab-ins, terminations, all that. I didn't know anything about it, but he said, hey, I think you can do it. And I said, okay. He put me in there, and I was able to do it. And so then, back at this time, every time you turn around, you're getting a raise. The company was real solid. And so I started making real good money. And then so, me and Harold constantly, trying to get this published. I said, fuck it. Let's, see about publishing it ourselves. Right. And like I said, we were looking around. So I, later on, I found out I could have gotten it done a lot cheaper, but we didn't know anything. I didn't know it. He didn't know it. So there used to be a newspaper here called The Wave. And I went over there, and then so the guy said, well, yeah, I'll print comics, even though he didn't normally do it. And then that's where we had the issue #1 printed. And that cost me several $1,000s, but at the time I had it. And then we had like 5,000 issues. It took up a whole pallet. And it was so funny because that's I guess you've seen the first issue, really, the jumbo size one. And then so it was so funny. So I had, Real Deal Productions. So the guy come to deliver them. So the guy delivered them, in a tractor trailer. I'm just at the house. And it was so funny. So I saw this, big truck, tractor trailer going up the hill, down the hill. And then I said, I bet he's coming here. And then the fact, because the guys used to go into warehouses and shit.
Yeah.
And so then he pulls this big truck up, he leaves it idle, he comes, he knocks on the door, he says, is this Real Deal Productions? This is a house, you know. I said, yeah. And I said, okay. Because he was confused. Like you said, I'm on a residential street here. So,
Yeah,
like I say,
this can't be it.
yeah, this can't be it. Yeah. And so it's like a big pallet, and then he unloaded it off the truck, put them in the garage and stuff. And that was the first issue. And then after that, we did a second issue. I found out about there was a company that was Brenner Printing in Texas, and they were specialized in comics, and they're way cheaper. And they were trying to get distribution, and God, that was rough. And then it's like a nightmare. And then both of us working full-time jobs at the same time. And it's just a learning experience because, like I say, it's so much better if a person, like, say, you get in, say you're able to go to art school and you get in where you're working for somebody else. And then you pick all these things up from other people. Then when you go to start your own thing, then you can like, oh, okay, I know who to go to. I know what this, but we just did everything the hard way. Yeah.
Yeah. So how would you describe your art style?
I have my own art. I like I call it like pseudo realism. Like my faces on my characters are cartoony, but I try to draw the bodies. They got 5 fingers, joints are in the right place, and I'm serious about my backgrounds. They look real. My cars look real and stuff. So just to get that look on the face, that rage on the face, they have to be cartoony. But I pride myself on being able to draw the body's looking normal because, I was a big fan of Johnny Quest when I was a kid and shows like that, and I admired how they, the artwork in them. So that's like I call it pseudo realism.
Cool. So what do you love about the culture of LA, and how do you kind of input that into the comics?
Oh, the culture of LA. Well, I was born here. This is where I've lived all my life, and I love the city. I know the history of it. And like just the characters, like people I've known here in LA and in California, and then if you notice when I draw my backgrounds, the houses like Spanish style houses, the streets, it looks like LA, and just the the mix of cultures, the Hispanic people, Asian people, and stuff, and I have them all interacting with real deal characters, and this is my city. Like I said, I always want to live here, even though I love to travel. I've been all over the world. I got a lot of relatives in New York, and I've been there a bunch of times. But I love here. Like, it's one of those things. Like everything I use, I know where everything's at. I'm used to everything, and this is where I live and stuff. Yeah.
Cool. Can you talk about E. Sims Campbell and how he inspired you?
Oh yeah, I love E. Sims Campbell. For those that don't know, he's an African-American artist. He's born in 1906. He's a cartoonist. He's coming up, in the Harlem Renaissance. He did a famous picture of in 1932 of Harlem, like a map of Harlem and all the hangouts and stuff like that. You pull that up, and just that he was, he's one of those people like you couldn't tell him no. That's what I love. That's what me and my buddy Kent, they call the old time brothers like that, the heavy lifters, the guys who fought and battled where, you try to do something and say, no, you can't do that. Yeah, I'll do it. And they're like, all right, you can do that and stuff. Because just like I say, he drew for Esquire for years, all those paintings he did for him. And a lot of times he would draw all white people. And then at the same time, he had a lot of cartoons in the Ebony, early Ebony. And then before Ebony, it was called the Negro Digest. And he had a lot of great cartoons in there about the civil rights movement and stuff, but it was funny, it's funny stuff. Like him and his other artist named Bootsy, he was real good. But E. Sims Campbell, he was just amazed me. And a friend of mine, I can't think of the guy's last name. First name was Walter, and it's a friend of my father and my uncle. My uncle just passed away last year. He was 98 years old. And Walter used to like ghost artist for E. Sims Campbell. He was that good. And then something happened with him and he wound up getting out of art and just working a regular job. But E. Sims Campbell, like I said, it was just the fact that I know he must have gone through hell back then, submitting stuff and like, oh, we can't give you that. Oh, well, you can. And you just, I love that where you just keep going and going and going. They're like, all right, fuck it, we'll give you a chance. All right, we'll let you in and stuff.
Yeah.
And like my older, my relatives and stuff, you'd be talking like, you'd be saying, well, hey, I'm gonna try this. No, we can't let you do that. No, you can't have a
Yeah.
job. That's a white man's job. You can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
You keep trying and trying, like, all right, come on in here. We'll give you a shot, see what you can do. And like, I love that spirit, not giving up, keep moving ahead. Don't let somebody tell you no, and like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I give up, I can't do it. And he was a help for all, people who aren't familiar with his work. I would say, it's so nice now you can just Google it. You don't have to go to the library and look for an
Yeah.
encyclopedia.
Right.
Just pull up Easton's Campbell. He was a hell of an artist and beautiful cartoonist, great paintings, and I was definitely a big fan of his.
Yeah, I'm realizing that
Oh.
sometimes the lack of information is actually beneficial, because you were talking about how you guys had to kind of do it the hard way. But I was watching a
Yeah.
video last night of a lady who she's a lawyer, and she's a Black woman. She was born in Louisiana, and
Mm-hmm.
she moved to Japan in the 90s, and she's a lawyer.
Wow.
And she was making
Mm-hmm.
the point of, if she knew all the information of how hard it was going to be
Yeah.
to try to be a lawyer in Japan,
Yeah.
then she probably
Yeah.
wouldn't have done it. but because she
Yeah.
just but because she just didn't know, and then she had to go step by step, and it was an arduous process, but she didn't know how long it was going to take. So that was kind of beneficial to her, that she didn't know.
Yeah.
Because if she saw it
Wow.
from hindsight being 2020, she was like, I don't think I would have
Yeah.
done it,
Yeah.
because it
This
took
is
a long time.
impossible. I can't
Yeah.
even think of it. So she's a Black woman from America who's a lawyer in Japan.
Yeah, I think she was
Is that what you said?
born.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's something else.
she was born in the 50s or 60s, and then
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
she actually started off as a teacher, and
Mm-hmm.
she was one of those people where, growing up in Louisiana, her mom had 10 children. Her mom would drop her off at
Wow.
the courthouse, because she didn't know what else to do with them. So she's like, watch these court
Damn.
cases. But because of
Mm-hmm.
it being Louisiana, and she saw that everybody else was white except the the criminal, that she was like, oh, then
Mm-hmm.
we're not meant to be lawyers. So
Wow.
yeah,
That's
so
a
that's why
trip.
representation is important, and that's why I have people on my
Yeah.
channel for representation
Uh-huh.
purposes.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. Well, I love what you're doing. This is really cool.
Thank
Until you
you.
reached out, maybe I'd never heard of you and stuff, but this is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Uh,
what are some stories you have from making it happen and finding information about what you need to accomplish your goals, particularly before the internet? So I know you took a class in printmaking, working
yeah.
to fund your projects, and struggling through learning programs.
Yeah. Well, it was just like, because before I really got into this, like, we knew we wanted to do our own book, and then I just said I had no idea what the printing process was.
Yeah.
How does something get from a drawing on a page to in a book? And so that's why I took a printing class at LA at Santa Monica College. So I
Mm-hmm.
was just curious, and then so I saw how to print, and then this was before the all this digital stuff is way easier, but
Right.
I saw how they created the plates. You had to shoot the negative, put it on this
Mm-hmm.
like arc light machine that would literally burn the image of the from the negative into the plate, and all this different acid and stuff you had to wash it on. And then it was interesting. So I learned how. So that I like by learning that they gave me a better idea how I had to draw things and stuff. And that because like the reason why issue number 1 is so big, it's the size of
Mm-hmm.
like what an old Life magazine used to be, or how Ebony used to be, is because I drew the stuff at the wrong. I didn't draw it at the right size for
Mm-hmm.
to do the reduction down to regular magazine size. And then I drawn all this stuff, and the guy said it was the wrong size. You needed it. I'm like, God damn, I can't draw all this again. And I said, well,
Right.
what can you do? And so he said, well, I can make it this size, like I said, like Old Life or Ebony magazine. But then he said, then the cost of the gloss, we wanted gloss covers. And he
Yeah.
said that cost, it would have really been expensive. And I said, well, let's just do the pulp paper, for the cover, and then we worry about the next time. And then
Yeah.
that's why it has the paper cover. And then what was funny, and then when we did our first little Comic-Con, it was at this at the Shrine Auditorium. This guy named Schwartz, I don't know if he's still doing this, called the LA something Science Fiction Expo something. You could get a
Mm-hmm.
cheap table there. And it was so funny. First time, because I'm sure you've been to Comic Cons, right?
Yeah.
And you see how the people have, the whole area all hooked up and it,
Yeah.
laid out and stuff. We had a beat up they gave us a 6 foot long beat up folding table and 2 folding chairs. And like I said, me or him, we didn't know jack shit about any of this stuff. So that's all we had. And it was funny. I was thinking back, I said, that looked like Real Deal. Everybody else got their booth all hooked up and all kind of days. We just got it. We got a wood beat up, expensive wood table here, 2 folding chairs, the Real Deal on the table, and that's it.
Right.
And and it was funny. And then so one of the guys, several people who own shops came up and they said, "Man, I love your book," but they said the problem is, he said, it's too big and it doesn't fit on my shelves. Because he said, and they were showing us, okay, next one we got to do the regular size, but they said they loved it. And then even back then, it was so funny. A guy came up and he said, "Hey, man, I've seen this." I said, "Where?" Somebody had taken Real Deal and made Xerox copies of it and was selling it.
Oh,
wow. God, catalog, this is copyright infringement here, but at the same time, we're laughing. We said, well, they think it's important enough to rip off. I guess it's pretty good and stuff. So, yeah, but just the stuff we didn't know, like I said, like I took the print class, just reading and then just running around trying to get, because back then, because like now you can just send all your files to the printer, PDF files and stuff. And then you'd actually have to send all the artwork. And that was terrifying because, you're like, shit, all this artwork, everything hand drawn. And then, I'd send it like a UPS or something, with the, return. Because he said, this shit disappears. It gets, damaged, plane crash. That's it. It's all gone and stuff.
Right.
So, so because like at first, that's why I did it. That was another thing. Like I saw there were places cheaper to go out of state, like, Brenner in Texas. And now, they got I've had stuff done up in Canada and stuff. And, but then I said, well, I wanted my work right here. I didn't want it going out of state or anything. I wanted to take it there and bring it home.
Yeah.
So, but then the next one that we did at Brenner in Texas. And I just, like I say, just, boxed up everything up real good. Didn't send it through the mail, sent it out to UPS. And, got the insurance on it. Everything is real serious. And then they sent it back and everything was fine. But just these are the things you learn when you're doing this stuff,
Right. Yeah, I mean, I've heard about bootlegs of a lot of stuff, but I didn't know there was bootlegs of comic books.
Yeah. That guy said, yeah, I saw this thing, and somebody else like, damn, somebody told. I said, we got ripped off here. We talking about getting lawyers, and I said, they know we ain't got no money for no lawyers or anything like that. So, but it was flattery to say that something is something about flattery and something that I said it was different. It's flattering that, somebody would rip you off and stuff,
Right.
Yeah. So, oh boy.
So, more to kind of like the beginning of Real Deal Comics, like what was your role and what was the role of Harold? Because I know before his passing, like a lot of the characters were people he knew in real life from upstate or something like that. Up in Northern California. Yeah.
That GC was a guy who was real crazy, who was a janitor, and he was built just like he's like 5 feet tall, chubby, and real crazy. And what they used to him and Buddy Kemp, they used to run up to Oakland all the time to party. And that's when I forgot the name of those brothers. They were involved in the Mac, the movie. I can't think of their last names. They were like pimps, dope dealers, all this wild stuff, and they used to party with them. And it was so funny. Like they said, they went to this one party, and they just walked around the pad, and they walked through this door, and all these guys were like cutting up coke on the table and dividing it up. And he said they looked at them, and they said, "Excuse us, brothers," and just walked out. But it was so funny, like nobody tripped because like they knew whoever's at this party is gonna be cool. Everybody's doing dealing dope, doing this, and like you're not gonna trip somebody walking, see a stack of dope. Fuck it, this is what we do. And so anyway, these were the guys used to hang around. And they were all real crazy. So the guy, the GC guy, he was a maniac. He was, he just did all kind of crazy shit. And a bunch of these people that I'm not going to say, I forgot their real names, but they just lived this crazy life where they were in and out of jail, doing drugs, getting in fights, busting stuff up, breaking windows, getting car chases, driving drunk. And that was their lifestyle. So these are like people he really knew. And I've known people like that were crazy like that.
Yeah.
And so the DC character, like I said, was that short guy who was a janitor who that's how he lived, and then his buddies, and the same thing. It's just people, in and out of jail. But basically, they don't give a fuck, Like I said, you try to kill, they say, fuck it. If I die, I die. If I kill you, I kill you. If I go to jail, I don't give a shit. And these kind of people, really, you stay the hell away from, because they'll do anything at any time. And so that was, like I say, when he was drawing the guy, the fat little guy, and he's wearing a Robin Hood down hat and stuff. And he's still wearing platforms. And it was so funny because at the time, like late 70s, early 80s, there were some guys who were like still dressing like that. Even though you laugh like, man, you look like you back in 1973, but they still wear that shit. One time back when Hardy shoe stores were still around, like in the late 80s, early 90s, I was looking in the store, they had platforms, like platforms, but some people still wanted them and stuff. And it got short guys like that, they love platforms and stuff. And I knew guys were like 5'4", 5'5". They were always in platforms or boots.
They could feel
or
tall for
like
the
that.
first time.
yeah, and be stylish at the same time. So, those are the people, and that's how he just came up with GC. And it was just funny. It was just like all the different characters just kind of just fed into each other and stuff. And then it's just like, and it's funny. Then the way he would write it, it was a trip because it was like all the characters knew each other, even the different strips and stuff. They all knew it was like a universe,
Yeah.
And that's what's so funny. Man, that's what everybody we'd show it to just cracked up loving it and laughing at it and stuff. And then like something about the way I would draw it, it was just like, as one time we were at the shrine at that science fiction con, and so we had the real deals on the table. This little blonde girl, she's about 5 or 6. She kept coming up looking at the books. And like, we said, no, you can't look at this and stuff. Why? And I said, we don't want to hear any shit from your parents. But she's just like something about the art. Or like even when I was in development at the Fox, the guy named Brian Ash, he was the writer they assigned me. And he said his daughter kept looking and she said, Daddy, why are these people so angry? Because he had all the real deals at home so he could write the scripts and everything. But it's just people feel something from it. It's truly a trip.
So let's see. What do you like about blaxploitation films, and how are your comics similar to those films?
What we always loved about blaxploitation films is those were the first time like black people were like just going off and doing what the fuck they wanted to do. And it's interesting because like you go back, through your film history, first you got like, the Yowza Boss character, minstrel like thing, or, Step and Fetch and Willie Buck, Death, and like, okay, this is what these brothers had to do at the time to make the money. And at the same time, I understand if they didn't do it, somebody else would. So you take the money. Then you move on like in the 50s and 60s, and you kind of get the bougie character, like, things like, Sidney Poitier played or other. Like, okay, I'm just as good as the white man. I wear a suit and tie. I'm clean shaven. I speak well. I'm just as smarter than the white man. And then it's like, okay, you're showing the way, hey, I'm just as good as you. I'm just as smart as you. You can't look down on me. So then by the time we got to blaxploitation, it's like, fuck it, I'm going off. Like I'm pimping, I'm dealing drugs, I'm kicking ass, like the Jim Bound characters, I'm banging the white women, your precious white women that we're not supposed to touch or defile, banging in, I'm dealing drugs, like this is my ghetto, this is how I live, like, in Superfly. It was so cool. And it was just like a whole cultural thing where you had the fashions, the music, the characters are like, the scene in Shaft where he's crossing the street and he blows the horn at him, he gives him the finger. And then, it's like Shaft ain't taking no shit. He ain't talking down on him. Or, like the scene where he's in the bar and the 2 white guys are talking to him. And the guy, the guy spits in his face and he smashes a bottle over his head. And it's like, fuck it, and this is what people wanted to see. You're tired of like, okay, the black guy gets spit on, it takes it, he gets slapped in the face and take it. Somebody calls you a nigga and you take it, okay, I'm too good to fight back and all. I'm like, okay, I'm going off and stuff. So that was the feeling, like, like you're just strolling down the street, you're strolling hard, you're pimping. You're not, you're not Yowza Boss, and at the same time, you're not like trying to be like, oh, well, I got my suit and tie on. and I'm just like you, white man. I'm just like you, white man. You're not doing that. You're like, fuck it. This is my thing, my style. This is what I do and shit. And you ain't telling me no different. So that was the thing. And then with Real Deal, that's these characters. Basically, we do what we can't do. Like all the time, like it's been working all these years, and I've never been to jail and all this shit. These characters are like, just fuck it. I do what I want, you know. And they give you freedom. Like it was funny years ago. I was watching on 60 Minutes. And I think they were in Afghanistan, and they were flying the year after the Afghanistan ran the Russians out, and they were flying in this old beat up Russian helicopter, and it was almost hitting the mountaintops and stuff. And so they were terrified. And Afghanistan guy was flying the helicopter. So they asked him through the interpreter, said, "Boy, this helicopter is really raggedy, and aren't you scared to fly?" He said, "You fly this thing every day, aren't you scared to fly it?" And the guy said back, he said, "If we live, we live. If we die, we die. It's all in the hands of Allah." And it's like, fuck it. You know, it was just such a cold line. Like, yeah, I get up, I do my thing every day. If we live, we live. If we die, we die. It's all in the hands of Allah. I fuck it. You know, I'm not going to worry about it, you know. And it was like, it blew me away. It was just deep. Like, you know, I ain't scared of shit, you know.
Right.
If you look at Real Deal, I think it was number 2 where he's throwing the party. And he gets in a fight. And like I said, those apartments I draw and all that, there's 1,000 places, the place I live in now. There's 1,000 places that architects, that's the way it is around here.
Yeah.
And where he gets in a fight with the guy, and they're about to both go over the railing, and the GC says, "Fuck it, I ain't taking an ass whooping." And he's ready to go over the railing and die. Like, I'd rather die than take an ass whooping. And that's how he thinks, you know. And I've known people like this who get fucking scary. I remember times in the 70s, you'd be riding a bus somewhere, and the Crips would get on, and I mean, they would act crazy. And we would sit there, and the guy started talking to us, and you know, just acting crazy. And then he said, "What school you go to?" And he asked a friend of mine, said, "What school you go to?" And he said, "Oh, Mount Vernon." And that was before they used to call Bloods, they used to call that Brim. And the guy said, "That's Brim territory." And we're like, "That's just, oh my God. And then, you know, the guy didn't kill us or anything, but he was just like, he was just crazy. And they just got off the bus. And I've been, you know, at, you know, places getting something to eat, and a bunch of them guys have been there just crazy. Like, you be like, if one of these guys starts fucking with me, I gotta kill him immediately. Because, you know, I can't let this get going. I gotta just go berserk. And that's that mentality. You know, one time years ago, I was in Safeway, and I was just shopping and stuff, and this crazy guy's in there, and he just walks up to me and said, "Man, you look like you want to whoop a motherfucker's ass." I said, "What?" He said, "You look like you want to whoop a motherfucker's ass." And all of a sudden that cold chill hit me like, all right, this motherfucker is crazy. If I got to make a move, I got to take him down fast because I can't let him get going. I started looking around. I saw bottles of pickles and stuff. I was grabbing me, I smashed it upside his head and started smashing his head in the shelf. So I just stood there and I said, "Let me try to," because I don't want to be bothered no motherfucking cops and all this bullshit, motherfucker. Well, what happened? And police. I don't want to be bothered. I just want to do my job and just want to go shopping. That's all the fuck I want to do. So I said, "Let me try to see if I can use psychology on this motherfucker." I said, "No, brother." I said, "No, man. I don't want to whoop a motherfucker's ass, man. I'm just trying to go shopping. That's all. Were you walking around? Were you looking at people like you want to whoop a motherfucker's ass?" I said, "No, man. I want to whoop a motherfucker. I'm just trying to mind my own business, man." At the same time, I'm all bowed up. I'm ready to go out. I'm ready to go berserk. And then he said, "Well, that's all right." Then he introduced himself to me like I gave a fuck who he was. And he told me he was in the Army. I was like, that's where you went crazy. And then he just walked out of the store, hopped over the railings where they had the shopping carts, and just walked out the store. And that was it. And I was just glad. I said, "Wow, that was better than me smashing his head open with a bottle and shit." And then, because I guess I like my mind was just racing. I was like, I was going to take a pickle jar, smash it over his head immediately, then take him down and smash his head into the shelves and just bash his head into the shelves to take him out. But then I said, "Okay, I know I'm not going to just get up and walk out the store. You know, let's fucking, whatever. We got to call the police. Self-defense on the court. That shit." So, but at the same time, it's like, you know, that's what Real Deal is about. It's like at any moment, you got to go off. Somebody's going to kill you. You got to get them first. And you got to always be thinking because, you know, it can go down at any second, you know. And, you know, like another time after my mother died, and I had to, you know, all this shit with these lawyers and stuff about the probate and everything. And the place was real close to me. And then they moved it up into Hollywood, and I had to like go to work that night. And so I was walking, at the Parkway away. I didn't want to park in the structure. And I'm walking to the place. This bum dude, he's standing and he just like, what he said? You're just like, you big ugly motherfucker, like that to me. And like, I went in the mood for this shit. And I just stopped and I just walked right up on him. Like, motherfucker, I will kill you right now. I'll crush your skull into the sidewalk. Like, my mother just died. I'm feeling fucked up. I got to go to work tonight. I got dealing with all this legal bullshit that's dragging on, costing me money. And then I just walked and I stared at him. And he said, man, I'm sorry, man. Sometimes I just say things and stuff. I didn't mean that. And this, that, and the other. And I was laughing. I said, oh, motherfucker. Oh, you crazy. But when you see about to get beat down, then you get some sense. And then I just stood there. I just looked at him. I just looked at him. And I just stood there. I didn't say a motherfucking word. I just looked at him. I'm ready to kill somebody right now. And then he shut the fuck up. And then it was funny. And after I left the lawyer's office, I was walking back to my car. Then I saw him walking up the street, pushing his shopping cart. And he was cursing at people and stuff like that. I said, oh, but it was just so funny. Like, what are you putting on the act so you can get your SSI or something? Like, right. I just wasn't in the mood for it. I just wasn't in the mood for it.
Right.
To play bum with you. Oh, bum says, oh, well, he's ready to fuck you. Yeah, you're ready to die. Okay, obviously you're ready to die right now. I'm ready to kill you. And it just like I say, moms are dead. All this fucked up shit going on. I'm not in the mood for this shit, And he felt it. So I said, half these motherfuckers are putting on an act and shit. It's like some psyop bullshit and stuff. But like you say, sometimes you're just not in the mood. And that's why I had that real deal feeling going on right now. I'm ready to kill this motherfucker. I ain't taking this shit,
Right.
You don't know who the fuck you talking to, So it's like, oh boy. But that's what Real Deal's about, shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Have you had the opportunity to see Dolomite Is My Name on Netflix?
No, I haven't seen that. And I don't have Netflix, but I heard about it. I've seen the original movie, and I've met Rudy Remore, so I haven't had seen it. Is it good?
Yeah, Eddie Murphy does a really good job, and then Wesley Snipes is in there. It's a really good kind of. It kind of inspired me, like, oh yeah, well, I got to do my own thing. Yeah.
Well, it's funny. I was taking Oh, go ahead.
No, you can go ahead.
Oh, I was taking some acting classes. I was in this movie called Jack, and I was taking some acting classes on Crenshaw, this brother named Dwayne Shepard. He's an actor. He's done a lot of stuff. And so Rudy Ray Moore's offices are right next door. And he came over a couple of times to the class. Just he'd come in and talk a second. And, it was funny. He was dressed just like he was back in the 70s. That was so funny. It's all fucking Dolomite stuff. But he was cool. Yeah, he came in, he talked a second, and he was just walking, he just look at everybody and stuff, and it was a trip. Yeah, it was something else.
Yeah, and then to go back to the 1920s, Step and Fetch It and stuff like that. In the 90s, they Walmart would do like the Black 365 on Saturday, where they would kind of do the history of stuff, and they were covering Hattie McDaniel one time, and how she won the Academy Award. And she always played maids and stuff like that. So they played her acceptance speech, and she was like her speaking proper. And as a kid, I'm like, what? So I'm like, oh, she was acting, and it was
of course.
I guess because I'm a kid, I'm just like, well, she obviously thought that was like that. But then I kind of felt ashamed, like, oh my gosh, I thought that of my own people. But it was an act, and she became rich from that. She paved the way for other actresses, but I was just like, when she did her acceptance speech, I was like, oh.
Well, people like her are amazing. Well, like I said, sometimes young people nowadays, they put those people down, but those people went through hell back then. My God, I was reading just like a lot of people. They had a black vaudeville circuit called the TOBA circuit. It was a Theater Office Booking Association, and black people back then said it stood for tough on black asses. And then people just, traveling, doing their acts, and a lot of places you couldn't stay in a hotel. You'd have to either sleep in your dressing room, or somebody let you sleep in their house in the colored section of town. Or, in the bigger cities, they had all black hotels and stuff. And, a lot of them were run down and stuff. But I mean, just going through all that racist shit that people had to go through, and then, making things, opening things up for the next wave and stuff. But and then, like I said, one time I read about Willie Best gave an interview in the early 60s when he was still alive. And he said, yeah, I'll admit, the roles I played were, pretty broad or pretty bad and stuff. But he said back then, he said, it was either do it or get out.
Yeah.
And you back in the depression shit. Back then, if you made $30 a week, you were doing good.
Yeah.
So if somebody tells you, hey, I'm gonna give you this studio contract, I'm gonna pay you $700 or $1,200 a week back then, you took it. Because then you said, okay, if I said no, I'm not gonna do it, somebody you probably know would take it.
Yeah.
And there was his brother, he played Lightning on the Amos and Andy show. And he used his money from that and opened up the Ebony Showcase Theater on Washington. And I say, now that was a good thing. Like I've seen him. He was in, I forgot his like stage name was Nicodemus. And he was in movies in the 30s and stuff. And then, an Amos and Andy show in the early 50s, he was on there, and he's, his name was Lightning because he was real slow. But I'm saying he took money with, he said, oh, this is embarrassing, oh, blah, blah, blah. And then open up a legitimate theater where, people, black people, all kind of plays and stuff, doing serious acting and stuff. So, that's why I said I never looked down. I read a book about Sammy Davis Jr. years ago, and just, oh my God, him and his father and his uncle, Will Master and Shell, just went through hell, sleeping in the dressing room and this, that, and the other. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't eat here, you can't, all the hell they went through. And at the same time, you get out on the stage, you got to put on a performance. Costumes got to be big. You sing, you dance, you tell jokes, you play instruments, did everything. And you got to be happy, even though, you might be miserable as all hell, but, you putting on an act and stuff. So those people inspire me, that way you can just do that. Or just like my Uncle Robert, he just passed away, he's 98. And he worked in, when he was in the Navy during World War II, he was a cook and all that. Then he got into, one of the big aircraft companies and stuff at Lockheed. He worked there for years, and he was an electronics engineer and stuff. And he got in there in the 50s. And he said back then, be like, you can't do this, or you can't. And he kept just showing them like, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I can do this. And you get your respect, where it's like, oh, you guys aren't smarter. This is too complicated. I'm going to give you something simple to do. And those are the people, and they kept moving forward. He didn't like, oh, fuck, they're racist, they're picking on me. Maybe I'm gonna go get a janitor job and stuff. He kept battling and stuff. And I've always admired that. So, but yeah, old lady, like you say, Hattie McDaniel. Yeah, she's an amazing woman. And what was it? She said, because she had worked as a maid when she was younger, and she said was one of the things she said. I'd rather make $700 a week playing a maid than $7 a week being a real maid and stuff.
Right.
And and it was like, and then if you notice, you watch her performances, even though she's playing a maid, so she put more there's dignity, dignity in the performance. It wasn't just like you're subservient and stuff. And then move on to things what we have now. Like I say, then you go from being like that into like in the 60s and stuff where you're like you're bougie, and then you move on to the blaxploitation, like fuck it, I'm doing my own thing. So, it's been quite a path.
The crazy thing about you saying about your uncle and oh, this is too complicated for you. I've had that experience today, at one of my previous jobs, and I'm like, you hired me. You've seen what I could do thus far at this job. Why do you think I can only create 3D models of screws and bolts? I was so confused. Like, what?
Yeah. Well, I had that happen to me working in data centers. Like I said, production control analyst. You'd have somebody like trying to badmouth you, say you did something wrong or something when you didn't. And I kept to come back on, no, I didn't do it. I did this, that, and the other. I didn't do that. And it was a lot of times you had to do that. Like, you had to have all your shit straight. You had these things to do called a problem log, where if there was a problem, you had to log, what you did to fix it. And then you had to do it, real quick, because processing, you can't have processing shut down. And then you'd have somebody say, oh, he did this, that, and the other wrong. You're like, bullshit. No, I didn't. And like, boom, boom, boom. Hey, you see my documentation and stuff.
That's what my mom say. Document.
That's it. And then I said, you can't tell me anything, but it was, I went through some, I guess, not as bad as my uncle, but I went through some of the same stuff where it was just like, somebody trying to say you don't know something, or, oh, you're going to mess that up. And then you'd have to, no, I won't. And you'd have to, just come back, just blaze on them, till they, like, okay, we're not going to fuck with you, and then we're going to back off on that.
Right.
And, it was funny, this, when I was there, some idiot said I'd messed up a bunch of work that happened when I was off. I had nothing to do with it. And so this guy, the last name was Rose. He was head of some department. He really badmouthed me. And then I got it straight down at the data center when I was at the people, my shift manager and the director down there. They knew what had happened, but I could tell, looked like he didn't know what happened. So then I called him one time and I said, "Hey, yeah, I need to talk to you." And I said, "Remember that incident, this, that, and the other?" I said, "I had nothing to do with that." Yeah. Oh, okay. So anyway, when review time came around, and with production control analysts, so the programmers would be part of our review, like who was the sharpest at it, who helped them out the best. And so when the manager down there gave me my review, and he said, "Guess he gave you the highest ratings?" And for some reason, I said Rhodes. He laughed and said, "Yeah." And I said, "Here's the son of a bitch with bad mouthing me." And he gave me my props. He said he knew I was sharp and stuff. And he looked like he said, "Yeah, he's the best. He's this, that, and the other." And it just blew me away. But I had to fight for that. I couldn't just sit back and say, "Well, they're going to be cool with me. They're going to be fair." And I had to fight for it. So it was a trip. Yeah.
That is so crazy because there's been times where I've been treated a certain way, and then when it comes time for a review, I'm like, I know I'm getting like 2s and 1s, but they give me all 3 4s and a 5 and stuff like that, and I'm just like, then why do y'all treat me like this? Like if I'm doing good, like I'm so confused.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So okay. What's the story around trying to make Real Deal into an animated TV show? Like, what are the reasons you feel Real Deal has to be animated? And for all the situations where people have loved your work, but it hasn't produced any fruit, what do you think are the obstacles keeping those people from giving the green light and following through to the end?
Well, what happened was I did some shirts for Stussy. This guy named JJ, he was a fan of mine, and then he told they carried Real Deal Comix at Family Comics on Fairfax. And so he told his friends with this guy named Adam, who was at the art director at Stussy. So they hired me to do some shirts for him. So I, drew a bunch of shirts, different shirts. So anyway, he said, he loved my work, and we all became friends and stuff. And we were saying, "Hey, this needs to be an animated show." So he knew some people and stuff, and then we wound up doing a pitch at Fox with this guy named Nick, and JJ had worked for him before, and he loved Real Deal, and he assigned us to a development deal. And they hired a writer. We went through interviewing writers and stuff. I picked this guy named Brian Ash, and he really wrote some. Because then it was going to be regular stuff. It wasn't going to be, R-rated. It'd be like say PG rated, so you could show it on, Fox Channel 11. And so everything was going good. We're having all these meetings and stuff and stuff like that. So we're in development about a year or so, and all these meetings. And then so what happened was Nick left Fox and went somewhere else, and some new guy came in, and so we noticed everything got dead. Like we weren't getting the phone calls, and we weren't having any meetings and stuff. So we contacted and said, "What's happening?" And it was like, "Oh, well, this new guy, he wants to do all his own shit, his own shows. He doesn't want to do Real Deal. Sorry about that. Blah blah." I'm like, God damn. And all that work we had, the writer had done a full episode. He'd done the story Bible and all this, all the stuff you do for a show. Yeah. And so they say, "Sorry, like you want to come in and talk about it?" I said, "No, not really." And so they said, "Well, you can have all the stuff that, we created, that's yours." They said, "Okay, fine." So, and then where the other guy went, the company he went to, they didn't, they're having, I'm not going to name it, but they have financial problems and they weren't able to do it. And so then, so anyway, but I mean, also was cool. I think, have you seen the animation of that Titmouse did for Real Deal?
I looked up a bunch of stuff. I've seen some animations of it.
Yeah, that was the when we did the because when I was at Stussy, also they did a you probably seen the video they did about me, like a biography.
Yeah, I did.
And then then they paid they had Titmouse do a minute of animation and that of the characters. It really came out good. Then the guy Chris Pryskowski, who's the head of Titmouse, he's a big Real Deal fan and stuff. So anyway, so that, and then so I'm still trying. I'm just trying to just got to get somebody to back it because I got the studio that I tell people, hey, I already if you want, I already got a full episode to go. If you don't want to write new ones and stuff, and then but yeah, some people are scared of Real Deal. I don't know. It's funny, like because I pitched at other places, and like it's so funny, like you talk to the guy and like, oh yeah, I know who you are. Yeah, I'm familiar with Real Deal. Blah blah blah. And and then but then they're like, I can't, they're scared to do it.
Yeah.
Hey, look at all the crap they got on. And you can't do Real Deal. You're like, okay, then you got to be cool and everything. Okay, fine, And but that's like I said, every time I do a Comic Con or anything, all the fans are like, hey, I want I want to see Real Deal. I want to see Real Deal animated and stuff. And so I mean, the audience is there because I got fans all over the world. I got fans over in Europe, South America, and Asia. I mean, they're all over the place, and they want to see Real Deal. So it's cool because
that's where I feel like the culture. If you were like born in Europe, you probably would have had an animated show already because they do content.
Like a lot of stuff here is just goofy, and because then I'm published by Fantagraphics now. And you've seen the Real Deal hardcover and issue number. Yeah, they published that, and they're big fans. And so I say, if they back you, your stuff's got to be good. They don't mess around, So the fans are out there. And by them, distributing it, they've gotten it out all over the world. And I get people constantly, wanting to buy, buy stuff for me, or buy original art and all of that. So it's a trip, So. Excuse me, but the market is out there. It's just getting, like I said, the animated show because that's soon when I'm playing. I'm gonna get some new computer. I'm gonna get a Surface and stuff. I'm gonna do some of my own animation and just put some stuff up, and because the equipment is so much easier to do stuff now, and just keep it out there. Because I did some animations. I don't know if you've seen the one where GC's chasing some guy and he runs into him with a car. And and that I just take that to the next level because that time I used Toon Boom for that, but the screen I had for it, the drawing tablet was real crude compared to now, so I could do much better work. But it's just it's funny, like you got the fans, but the people with the millions of dollars, they're the ones like all this kind of stuff and everything. So it's a trip, stuff.
So I'm a strong advocate of animation and comics not being just for kids. So I know we've talked about it a little bit, but what do you feel about creating content for adults?
Well, I love it. I mean, if you look at the the stuff like I said, European comics, animation, or Japanese anime and all this stuff, but so much of it is for adults, and it's so good because like I said, you can do stuff that you can't do in real life, so that's my thing right there. I love the stuff on Cartoon Network, the Venture Brothers, Mike Tyson Mysteries, all kind of stuff. My friend JJ Villard, he's got a JJ Villard's Fairy Tales. That's a new show on Cartoon Network, so that's on now, and and it's adult, definitely for adults and stuff. And then he had another one called King Star King, and that was pretty wild. That was for adults, so I'm definitely into adult animation. That's because like I said, especially when you do stuff for kids now, a lot of times it's too goofy.
Yeah. I'm glad I grew up in the 90s because man, I was telling somebody the other day about even if you listen to Disney's Pocahontas, Pocahontas sings that song Colors of the Wind, and the first two verses of Colors of the Wind, she's talking to that white man like, you think you know, you think you own everything you walk on. I'm like, this was a Disney movie.
It's deep, getting woke, taking it deep and stuff.
But people didn't notice because it was a cartoon. But
but it's just amazing. I love animation. I've always, since I was a little kid, just always love animation. Like I said, back when I thought they were actually for real, and then you see how it's done, and you say, oh man. Because I remember, way back in the day, I remember I took my for for the longest time they outsourced everything. Because I
Yeah.
remember way back in the day, I took my portfolio out to Hanna-Barbera when it was still on Goenga. And it was so funny because I just called up there one day and they said, yeah, we'll see your portfolio. I was like, what? Is it that easy? And so I drove up there. Yeah. And it's, so Harry Love was the, he's an old time animator. He was like back in the 20s and stuff. This is in the 80s. And he saw
Yeah.
my portfolio and we talked for like an hour and he said, yeah, he said, your stuff is good. But he said, I can't offer you a job or anything. He told me everything's done over, at that time
Yeah.
they were doing everything in Japan and the
Mhm.
Philippines and stuff. But he said, I like to talk to artists. And I thanked him for talking to me. And that was cool because I'd seen him in my different books I'd had and stuff. And he, you know, he was like, one of the old timers and one of the OGs in
Yeah.
animation. It was something else. So
Yeah, like several years
yeah, it was
ago,
a trip. But
there's a
yeah,
YouTube
mhm.
channel, the Academy for Television, something like, I think they changed their name, but they like 10 years ago I was watching the interviews on YouTube and they interviewed like Joseph Barbera and all this stuff, and it was like,
Yeah,
I think he could draw, but it was like, how did you get your job as an animator? He's like, oh, I was just walking down the street and somebody asked me, could I animate? And I was like, yeah. Like,
yeah,
I was
wow,
like, dang, why can't it be that
yeah,
easy now?
yeah. Well, it's funny, yeah. Like back then, a guy could go in somewhere and just get like an office boy job, and then
Right.
just and just work his way up. Like, hey, you draw pretty good. Hey, well, let me throw this at you and stuff. And now, like now, yeah, really being anime, like they want you to go to like Cal Arts or you
Mm-hmm.
need a degree and stuff before they'd even see you and everything. And it's just
Yeah.
everything's just way harder now. Like you can't just
Yeah.
go in and get a little grunt job and then then just work your way up. Like, hey, well, that's pretty good. Why don't you come over? Why don't you come over to this department? And stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
the next thing you know, you're hooked up. But it's a trip. Yeah, everything now is like everybody wants you to have a piece of paper or something that says you
Yeah.
can do something, even though maybe you can't do it that well.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do your fans express to you about appreciating having content from a mature perspective?
I love it. A lot of people say it's funny. It's stuff they've never seen before. They say that it's things they've been thinking about for years, but never like I say, GC does what they want to do, but they're scared to do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so that's that thing, and then I just love the hilarity. How it's just crazy and stuff. Like I said, I got a gallery over in Gallery P38 over in Paris, and the guy's got a bunch of my original art. And then last day he was over here, he was at some bookstore, and he bought like 10 copies of the Real Deal hardcover or something or more, and had me sign them all. And I just,
Nice.
the fans, yeah, it was cool. And it just makes you feel good. You feel appreciated. Because I was thinking all
Mm-hmm.
those years, like when I was doing the bulk of this work, when I was working at the data center, and we were working these 12-hour shifts. And then so on
Yeah.
the weekends, every weekend I was off either 3 or 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I got most of my work done. And like a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people about partying or buying things and stuff. And I said, I got to get this done.
Yeah.
A lot of times you're just sweating over this drawing board. But it makes you feel good, like, hey, like, hey, people appreciate the work and stuff.
Yeah.
And as it, like when I'm out somewhere and I'm signing and stuff, I really appreciate it. Some people might feel arrogant or
Mm-hmm.
swell-headed or something like that, but that is like appreciation, like, hey, you like what I
Yeah.
do. Mm-hmm.
So, what is some criticism that you received, or what are some misconceptions about Real Deal Comics?
People, it's misogynistic and all this shit, or one time I was at one of the Comic Cons in San Diego, and this young brother walks up. He just looks at it in a couple of pages. Said, this makes fun of black people. We said, no, you make fun of black people. And I say, you never read it. You have to get into it. You just look at the
Right.
page. Like, get out of here. Or one time I was doing this panel discussion at the it's called a Center Theater on, used to call it Silent Movie Theater on Fairfax. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
up on the stage, and this older white chick she was a cartoonist too. She was part of the panel, and she used to draw this, hippy dippy stuff in the 60s and
Mm-hmm.
early 70s. And she just starts hollering out, oh, it's misogynistic, and all this, this cliche bullshit. It was so funny. A bunch of young white chicks in the audience, like, shut up. Says this is a comic, but they were Real Deal fans. And then she shut up. And then so then we were out on the patio, and everybody was, we're getting our work signed and stuff. And then people, a bunch of people were coming up like they had bought Real Deal years earlier. They said, "Oh man, I saw you were going to be here. I wanted you to sign these books for me." And I'm like, "Sure, sure." So she saw me getting my props, and then she came up like talking normal, kind of apologizing and stuff. And I just looked at her. I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm just saying, like, she's just babbling cliches and shit,
Right.
Her shit, wasn't nobody buying her shit. It was lame, and it was just ridiculous. Like, yeah, that's all right, no problem, But it was funny though. You run into that stuff, and then people say stupid shit to you. And once they read it, like when I did the first issue, and I was showed it to a guy at work, and he was like, "Oh, this is horrible. Oh, this is this thing." Like, all right. And then so I walked over, I give it back to me. I'm not going to give you one if you don't like it. He said, "I'm not finished reading." He said, "I'm not finished reading it." He said, "It's so horrible, why you reading?"
Right.
I let him have it. I was like, "Oh, it's so horrible," but it kept his attention and stuff.
Right.
He's just babbling cliches like at the time when the Cosby Show was on, like everything has to be like the Cosby Show. Like, shut up. People don't live like. I mean, some people do. Some people. I say there's room enough for everything. I've known bougie people. I can't
imagine how if Cosby saw it, because he's like, "Oh, pull your pants up" and all this stuff. I can't imagine his commentary for your stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh, this is so horrible. Jello pudding. All the way he talks and stuff. And it was like, like I said, okay, like I said, I've known people like this, the bougie, you're the doctor, you're like, I've known people like that's a nice life, that's cool. Both parents are doctors and stuff. You got plenty of money, kids straight to college, no, unloading trucks, all this crap. And that's nice, but that's okay. The Real Deal shows another part of life. It's all real, it's all there, And a lot of so I wish I did have that bougie life, but I did, and I have to deal with what I have,
Yeah.
If I lived like that, maybe I wouldn't draw Real Deal. Yeah.
Right. That's the same thing for rap music. Like if they had a different environment, then they wouldn't talk about that.
Exactly.
So what are some ideas you have for the future?
Well, I love old movies, and I really this is something we thought of years ago. Floyd Jackson. He's a detective, and I really want to draw the hell out of this. He's a detective back in the 30s, back in the East End Campbell times, where he starts out as a cop on the NYPD, and he gets in fights with white, because he had black cops back then, NYPD. He gets into a beef with white cops there, winds up quitting the department and becoming a private detective. And then one of the white guys, one of the Irishmen he used to fight with, they wind up becoming friends, and the guy helps him out because he's still on the department and stuff. And just have all kind of, I would have him working cases where he's dealing with black actors and stuff at the time. And I'd have, I was going to have him first it would start off in New York. He'd wind up moving out to Los Angeles, and then have the old time Los Angeles and stuff. And I would really, because you see, I love detail, and I'd really just draw the detail aspect, like the cars, the clothes. And that's something, if I didn't have to waste time working a job, that'd be one of my things I'd be working on and stuff. Yeah. So that, and then, go ahead.
No, if you got some more ideas.
No, I can't figure. Go ahead. What you're going to say? More will come to me. Yeah.
So what advice do you have for people out there who feel like they have to wait until their art is perfect, or their story is perfect, or for someone to discover them? What advice do you have for them?
Just, constantly do what you can when you can. Keep drawing. Have faith in what you do. And if you need to publish it yourself. I mean, it's way easier now than before. You can do the stuff, everything online, and then, just send it to the printer, and they'll do everything off of PDF files and ship it back way cheaper. And then hit some of the Comic Cons, you get big Comic Cons, or hit, smaller things, or, little, you can rent a table here, rent a table there, and just always be out there. And now it's so much easier. You can do a YouTube show or do what we're doing now constantly. I know this awesome artist, a friend of mine, her name is Christy Shin, and she does, stuff on Facebook all the time. Every day she does this lunch hour. She's self-published, and she just keeps doing her thing, and she's, getting a lot of, because like I say, a lot of times, if you just sit around, excuse me, if you sit around waiting for somebody else to say you're good or something, nothing's ever going to happen. They're not going to do it, And then there was a scene in this movie called New York Stories, and it was cool where this young girl is, like an assistant to Nick Nolte, who's some famous artist, and he's painting some big painting, and she shows him her artwork. She says, "Is this good?" And he looks, he said, I can't tell you if it's good. You have to know it's good. I can't tell you if something's good or not. That's just my opinion.
Right.
Somebody can be real good and I can say it's not good, so
Yeah.
that's, you have to know it's good. And he said, you paint because you must. So you draw because you must. You're not doing it like, oh, is this good? Nah, it sucks. Okay. I'm not doing it anymore. You can't do like that,
Yeah.
And,
You gotta find your audience.
Exactly. I've known lots of people who are like that, like, they do their thing and they just keep doing it. So, like I say, now is a better time than any to do, if you want to self-publish or anything, because you just got so many outlets where before, oh my God, it was a nightmare the first time we were trying to get distribution. So back then you had Diamond and I forgot the Diamond's brother. You had another company, real big company, and you had to like submit to them, and then they would say, okay, Capital City, it was a Capital something, and they would you'd have to submit to them. Then you'd have to, if they said, okay, we'll carry your book, then you had to like if you then they'd publish a catalog and they'd send that out to the stores. So if you didn't pay them anything extra, they'd just have a one-line listing said Real Deal Comics. So anybody looking at that, so what the fuck is that? I don't know what that is. And then you had to pay for an ad, which might be $1,200, depending on what you got, to go in the book, so people would see it, and then they would order it, and then you had to send them like 10 reams of flyers, like a whole case of stuff full of flyers, and they would send the flyers out to the different comic shops, and you had to pay for all that shit. Was expensive, and then to ship that to them, and the cost of the paper and the printing. And you needed thousands of dollars just to promote your book and stuff. And now, you have like, I got the Real Deal Comics website, got stuff about, all the different social media, and it's just totally different now and stuff. Yeah. Running around and trying to draw stuff where it could be printed. No, it was rough. Yeah.
Yeah. So, as we wrap up, tell people where your website, your social media handles, where can people find you?
Oh, well, they got a website, www.realdealcomics.com, realdealcomics.com. You can buy Real Deal direct from there. I'm on, let's see, my Facebook is, just Lawrence Hubbard. And then, my Instagram is Raw Dog at Raw Dog Mac. Yeah, Raw Dog Mac. And then I forget my Twitter. I don't use it that often.
Right.
And my main stuff, like I said, if you want to buy some Real Deal goodies, you can either go directly to the Fantagraphics site, or you can go directly to the realdealcomics.com site. And so that's about it. Yeah.
Well, I want to really thank you for coming on the BlkWmnAnimator YouTube channel. I appreciate hearing all your wisdom. And for everyone watching, I want you to like So I Know It's Real, comment and tell me how you feel, subscribe to Seal the Deal, and sign up for post notifications to show your zeal. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.